Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Cao Yang, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you're the first one getting all the insight. Now today's video, I would like to answer a query. Now obviously we have been receiving a lot of information and inquiry in regards to the upcoming expansion of the employment sponsor visa, whereby whoever that held a subclass 4A2 visa is eligible to transfer into a permanent residency after 2 years. Now a lot of people inquire that, well, why not just lodging 1A6 subclass direct entry straight away? Why do you promote 4A2 so much? Now, that's what I'm going to answer in this video. Now, obviously, it would be good that if you could lodge in a subclass 1A6 direct entry visa straight away, but I think it's more limited by law to a highly skilled migrants or highly senior positioned employees, whereby they are not likely, because the high pay, they are unlikely to get a job and also get the permanent residency and leave the role, you know, and that's exactly what a lot of employer, a lot of Australian bosses does dislike about employment sponsor visa, because a lot of the lower end or medium term occupations, well, predominantly people, once they get permanent residency, it's the same across the world. If you check out the same situation in USA, Canada, UK and Europe, generally when people get their permanent residency, they leave their job post, okay? And that's the problem that a lot of employer do not want. And you will agree with me, if you are running a business, you would like your business to continuously be stable in way of your employee management level, whatever it is, as long as it's stable means you continue making money. It's predictable, it's better. You don't want a risk associated when somebody employ at your as a role in your business, and one day that they will leave the post, and that's not another issue. So one thing in realistic point of view, practical point of view, to lodge a subclass 1A6 direct entry is more relevant for people who has high pay and senior management level, whereby you take the visa, you get the permanent residency, but you're still likely to stay because the good pay and the wealth that you can actually accrue continuously with that position, and that's whether you like it or not, that's the fact, okay? But I wanted to talk about for many who was or who are or was or will be the international student or international graduates. Talking about 1A6, it's really unrealistic. Why? Because obviously you're not gonna get a senior role or high pay once you graduate, right? So it's unlikely, unless you're a super genius, and well, if you're that great academically, you probably got your 189 or 190 already. But let's talk about a general talk about common sense, shall we? Okay, so we have explained a little bit about who are suitable and what sort of role that an employer is likely to nominate you under 1A6 direct entry. But if you're not in those kind of rankings, then you probably are what we're going to talk about today. So if you're international graduates, obviously the good thing about international graduate in Australia, nowadays is that the subclass 485, as long as you study those 3,600, whatever the number of those courses, you will get that additional extended 2-year visa. So instead of general 2 or 3 years graduate work visa, you probably get 4 or 5 years of work visa easily. So again, now the impact on this one is also impacting people choosing to study in regional Australia, because there's no more incentive. I mean, if you get 4 or 5 years, you can connect to all type of different skill migration already. You don't need to be studying in regional Australia. So again, that's another way to view it. I've got a viewer left a comment, and I think it's correct, because 485 visa now, even if you study in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne, as long as you pick those courses, you get 4, 5, 6 years of graduate work visa anyway. So you don't need to be in regional anymore. So that's another disadvantage for the regional skill visa. So if you're an international graduate, once you have that 4 or 5 years of work visas, then it will be pretty easy, unless you're really slack, to actually get a job that's connected to your qualifications. For example, if you're an ICT, I'm a software engineer, then you probably will pick software engineer's job. You don't want to go pick on, just be a cook or chef. That won't help for your skill migration. Okay, so if you're a civil engineer, you pick a civil engineer's job. Now, if we go to the 186 visa that we just talked about on the direct entry, then you will notice where it's not possible. First of all, if you're not in the senior role or you're not in a high pay role, it's not possible that the Australian employer is likely to sponsor you to get you a permanent residency straight away, because they don't want somebody coming in and the next week or next month they'll say, look, I had enough, I'm leaving. And you do not have much of control there. Now, obviously, that's the real situation, the circumstances there. Employers not likely to do that. And plus, another thing is that we talked about is the eligibility here again. Now, if you're IT software engineers, just for instance, you need to get, for a direct entry, you need to get a positive skill assessment. Now, if you study software engineer ICT, you need to go through a professional year or get a 1-year job full time to get a skill assessment. Plus, another thing is having relevant work experience of at least 3 years. So it's not possible. If we do a calculation correctly, that's where I will usually answer, it's not likely that an international graduate could. Of course, you get a good employer, they want to sponsor you, yes, but practically or common sense, it's very unlikely that you can actually do a 186 direct entry. First of all, is you need to get a senior role, or Australian employer will accept that. Secondly, you need to go through 1 year professional year, or a 1-year work experiences for ICT to get skill assessment done, and then 3 years to get your eligibility to meet the requirement for, let's have a look, for the 186. As we go in there, see the relevant work experience, you need required to have at least 3 years of relevant work experience. That means after you graduate, you need to have full-time 4 years of work experiences. Now, if we go back to the 485 visa, that's probably all used up, all your 485 visa. But if you could access to the new expanded 482 visa to the pathway of permanent residency, now it's very likely, because the 482 visa does not require skill assessment, right? So as soon as you graduate, okay, and no skill assessment, 2-year work experiences, that's 2 years less than you trying to go for direct entry. You enter into 482 visa, okay, and then once your 482 visa, 2 years later, you can transfer into a permanent residency through 186, but in the TRT stream. You may argue, well, that's the same. So 2 years, that's 4 years. If we go to 186 direct entry, that's still 4 years as well. But it is more likely, practically, it is more likely that the employer will sponsor you with 2 years and then continue to sponsor you for another 186 TRT visa. But another thing is, obviously, during this period of time, if you could access to other 190 or 189, you know, if you got the invitation, lodge it straight away anyway. But that's where my answers to the question of today's video. An international graduate to access a direct entry 186 visa, very unlikely, very unlikely. But to go through 485 visa and then 482 and then TRT stream is much likely to be done, because you go through that period, that process is more acceptable by an Australian employer than direct entry straight away, because that basically you need to go through all that hurdles. It's not impossible, but a likely way is more on 485, 482, and then TRT. Anyway, should you have more questions, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. And I'll see you next video. Goodbye.